Okay, thank you. I think that the thought process, part of the process is to guarantee that the final product actually could be consumed by an specialized and non-specialized user. Because we work in a close way with the planning department and sectors. So for public policy analysis, I think that this part is checked. However, what with the citizenship and private sector and other organization, sometimes I feel that we have too many experts here in geospatial information systems, and but sometimes it's not that easy to create this story to tell and to make comprehensible this story. So I think that's the tough part of the process.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And the other question, could you please repeat it again? I missed it.
So I think you actually answered both parts
in
your answer. But I'm actually going to ask a follow-up question that was offered in the chat, which was about how you assess the utilization of the different platforms. So you just mentioned that the public policy analysis and different ways that the information and the graphics are used. But is there a way that you assess utilization? Do you know who? Do you end up knowing who your users are of your visualization and tools and websites, and have an idea of what they're using it for, and whether your purpose and your intention in having the visualizations, if that's met, or if it serves the purpose?
The purpose again is to guarantee the use and reuse of the data. And these technological tools that we have now are kind of an effective way to reach most people. However, you must be quite carefully in how you are going to build the story and how you are going to tell the story through a platform. And maybe, this could be a good idea. What I have now in mind is that up to this point, we haven't done yet this analysis of users. No, so we can see like the number of downloads in the page, the number of visits, but still we don't have the track of which kind of audience is visualization and consulting the page.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go to the next question that we have from the original submitted questions, and this is to Luis. Can you describe the process of creating data visualization in UNSD, and how do you choose data sets to be visualized, and how do you define the stories that you want to tell in those visualizations, and how is the design process structured?
Yeah, thank you, Linda, for that question. And I would refer a bit back to what I said at the beginning. I think our starting point is and should be listening to the priorities of our users, and for us, very importantly, the policy needs of the community that we serve. So, working at the global level, we try to convey visualizations that provide a global perspective, so that allow to compare data across countries, that allow to provide an overall view of progress in achieving the 2030 agenda. In terms of the actual process of producing the visualizations, I think for us is very important, and I think for everybody doing this kind of work, it's very important to combine the expertise of substantive experts that know the data, that know the substantive meaning of the data, combine their expertise with that of graphic design specialists, communication specialists, because this is about communication at the end, communication for action, and we need to make the data and the insights accessible and also even aesthetically pleasing, fun to use. So there are a lot of different fields of expertise that need to converge. So it's very important to collaborate across teams, across departments in our organization, and this is complex. So for us, and the process involves a lot of coordination with different specialists. And one thing I want to also to highlight or underline from what Karen mentioned, for us is very important the reusability, not only the use but the reuse of the data. So we are trying to design and to work with components that then can be reused by others. So that's part of our criteria in choosing tools and choosing platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. I think that links into when we talk about the requirement of having interoperable data. And then you also have all the different tools and visualizations that we produce here in UNSC then become available where others can utilize them to the greatest extent possible. So I think talking about working across teams and across departments and coordination, I think that's a key piece. And you see in the Columbia example, Karen talked about how they work with the Department of Public Policy and they work with other parts of the government on the SDGs and on this visualization. So my next question goes to Karen. And it's about what kind of skills and financial resources are required to build local capacity for visualizing data. How are the skills sustained within your office? And can you share which skills are in-house in your NSO versus which ones are then outsourced? Over to you.
Okay, thank you. I completely agree with what Luis was saying, in terms that it requires an interdisciplinary group of people working on visualization of data. It requires, from financial perspective, the people that you must be working, also the license of the softwares. Some softwares are free, but not all of them are free. And here, how we work is that in the case of graphs, no matter if there are graph bars or maps, the thematic area could do that. So those skills are in-house from geospatial systems and from the programming to produce data. And also we have here a communication department that is in close relationship with the thematic area to try to build the story and try to tell the story for the users of the data. But what we do not have here in-house is mostly graphic designers and also software engineers. So most of people that is working from these two areas, software engineers and graphic designers, are people that we contact, but they are not here all the time. So that's it.
Okay. So thank you, Karen. So that's interesting to hear what you do in-house versus what you outsource. So a quick follow-up question on that in terms of the sustainability. So if you bring in a software engineer to work on a specific application, and then the contract would be over, do you have then how do you maintain and sustain that application after the contract with that engineer would be over?
Okay, yeah, that's really a good question because sometimes it's not that easy. We don't have too many engineers to develop software. However, we do have an office in charge of all